These fires in California and other places, they aren't going to stop until we do this. These are horrific disasters where people are losing their homes, their landscapes, and in the worst cases, even their lives. Fortunately, we already have a solution. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way there's an easy solution to this huge crisis that's too good to be true. Well, watch this video and I'm going to show you how that's exactly the case. Let's start with some examples. One project we did in California a couple of years ago, it's already saved the house twice. The first time from fires. When the Malibu fires came through, they burned all the neighbors, but this place was saved. Now in California, after the fires come the rains and then the landslides. And when the subsequent landslide came from the neighbor's property, the work that we did saved the house again. And this story isn't unique. One of my friends in Australia, Peter Marshall, he had fires swirling around him for 2 months from all directions. All of the neighbors burned to ashes and his place didn't burn at all. Now, how could this be true? Well, the truth is, these fires are going to continue until we change our relationship with water. First off, the only thing wild about these fires is that they're totally out of control. There's nothing natural about these disasters. We shouldn't call them wildfires. These are human-caused fires. 85 to 95% of these fires are started by humans. This is landscape arson. And that's not even looking at the root cause, the dehydration of the landscape that's creating the perfect environment for fire to thrive. Now, have you ever tried to start a fire with wet wood? It doesn't burn. What happens to hydrated landscapes when a fire comes? They also don't burn. Check out these images of beaver dams after a fire. You can see the fire swirled all around them, burning everything in its path, but the hydrated landscape around the beaver ponds, it couldn't burn, it didn't burn. It was a refuge for everything in the event of those fires. To what extent have we dehydrated landscapes, you might ask? Well, globally, we've drained 87% of the world's wetlands. And that's just the wetlands. We've dehydrated all kinds of landscapes. And in the process, we've created the exactly perfect conditions for fires to thrive. And then what happens when it rains? All that rain runs down, taking with it land and ash, causing erosion, causing destruction, and then creating the next drought and the next fire season in the process. Again, these aren't wildfires. These aren't natural disasters. This is landscape arson through poor management. Now, let's take a look at how this happens and the root causes. When humans interrupt, contaminate, and disrupt the water cycle, we are left with extremes. Forests are clear-cut, wetlands drained, and vast landscapes plowed. These actions disrupt the water cycle. Barren land is created where forests once stood, hard surfaces, roads, and buildings where once was water. On the hot and dry soil, the water can no longer infiltrate, so it leaves quickly, no longer able to replenish the groundwater. From the excess runoff, rivers flood their banks, damaging infrastructure. So the rivers are dredged deeper, lowering the water level in the whole landscape. The exposed and hardened ground absorbs more heat, resulting in rising temperatures and hot air. As coastal humidity tries to move inland, the hot air pushes back, causing the pressure to build. When the pressure finally overcomes, its power is destructive, more intense, with less regularity. A cycle of extreme drought followed by extreme weather events. When it rains, it floods, and the stormwater runs quickly downhill, resulting in flooding and erosion, leaving destruction and drought in its wake. All the while, the water table is sinking and the water quality declining. Springs go dry, the rivers run low and heat up, less fish, less life, the ecosystem begins to collapse. Humans drill for groundwater to irrigate, draining the last remaining reserves of water in the earth. Drought becomes frequent, wells start to go dry, and crops begin to fail as stress and competition increase. Eventually, the fires come and the landscape burns.
Desert is all that remains from a once lush and thriving landscape. This is a cycle of extremes and destruction, leading to water scarcity, food scarcity, poor water quality, disease, famine, war, stress, and angst for the future. As the Earth's biomes desertify, the climate becomes increasingly inhospitable and erratic. This watershed death spiral makes life harder for all of Earth's inhabitants.
Now, lots of people are going to be blaming these crises on CO2-driven climate change. Little known fact, did you know that most of the heat dynamics of our planet are actually regulated by water? Now, the prevailing climate science says this isn't so important. Carbon's more important than water because carbon regulates the amount of water in the atmosphere, and that drives the greenhouse effect. So it goes something like this. As the CO2 rises, the temperature rises, and then the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere also rises, creating a feedback loop and the greenhouse effect. But so if rising CO2 levels are going to increase our water vapor levels, you'd think, if anything, it's going to make things wetter, not drier. CO2 emissions aren't dehydrating our landscape. Now, one of the amazing solutions we have available to us for cooling the planet is the power of photosynthesis. Plants, as they transpire water, that water in the phase change from a liquid to a vapor absorbs a huge amount of latent heat energy. Each liter of water transpired absorbs about a car battery worth of heat energy. Each year, we lose an estimated 370 cubic kilometers of water from the small water cycle. That's 250,000 terawatt hours of cooling potential that we lose each year. Now, how much is that? That's almost 10 times as much energy as is produced each year globally. So each year, the rainwater we lose carries a cooling potential nearly 10 times greater than all of the energy produced globally. So here's how we fix it. We take on the new water paradigm. We treat rainwater as the gift that it is and help it meet the land and infiltrate where it lands. We start to understand that the water transpired during photosynthesis is not lost, but rather an integral part of the cooling system of our planet. And on the ground, it's simple things. In California, all we did was made some earthen water bodies, made some terraces, planted some vegetation. We distributed the rainfall, infiltrated and hydrated the landscape, and that wet wood, so to speak, didn't burn in the next disaster. In Australia, Peter Marshall took on a farm that had a single tree on it. It was drained and desiccated, and he held the water and charged it up into that landscape. He reforested the landscape, he managed the forest, he included fire retardant species like willow, and in the mega fires in Australia in 2019 and 2020, he had fires coming from all directions for 2 months. He was turning crown fires, where it was burning all the way through the tree, to ground fires that could be put out with a shovel or a hose. Now, this was because of the hydration of the landscape, because he had restored the small water cycle on that landscape. He had limbed up the trees so the fire couldn't ladder up into the canopies, and when the fire came to his property, it met wet wood and hydrated land, and that made it so that he was able to defend and save his property, even though all of the neighbors, again, were ashes. And so humans can play an integral part in restoring a healthy water cycle.
Humans are not destructive by nature. In fact, we can act as keystone species in reviving the Earth's water cycle. By holding water within the Earth, decentralized water retention, we can create positive ripple effects through the web of life. By storing the seasonal rains in the Earth, terracing the hillsides, and growing forests, we can infiltrate water back into the ground. With a newfound respect for water, we learn to cultivate the landscape in symbiosis with nature, nurturing ecosystems to produce our food, material, and medicine. The forests transpire water, cooling the air and shading the earth. The heat dissipates. Coastal humidity is drawn inland as the trees seed the air with hygroscopic microorganisms, forming clouds and then rain once again. The rain easily enters the cool, vegetated soil, rehydrating the earth's body with blood. Springs come back to life, rivers are revived, and aquatic life returns to the rivers, lakes, and oceans. In the revived water cycle, fresh water from the oceans is recharged back into the earth. The water cycle, and with it a healthy and productive climate on Earth, are restored.
Are you ready to rejuvenate landscapes, restore ecosystems, and even revive rivers? To move beyond the theory and start practicing ecosystem regeneration? To succeed, you'll need skills, support, and confidence. It's why I created the Water Stories core course, to empower you to heal landscapes and revive waterways with your own hands and heart. I've spent the past decade implementing projects all around the world. Not theoretical designs, but real results on land. I've put all of the lessons I've learned from working with legends like Sepp Holzer and Rajendra Singh into this course. The Water Stories core course gives you everything you need to actualize projects on the ground and in your community. For each module, actions guide you through the experiences you'll need to become competent and then confident reading and regenerating land. From the technical aspects of earthworks and ecosystem establishment, to the personal development you'll need to be effective, to providing a business roadmap for success, this course offers a transformational experience that reshapes your relationship with water, land, and life. As hopeful as I was when we began, even I've been surprised how quickly it's delivered results for our students. No matter where you live and no matter your background, you can help heal the earth with water cycle restoration. Check the link below for upcoming courses, and I'll see you in class. Now is the time for as many people as possible to have the skills and abilities to be able to rehydrate lands. And that's exactly why we created this course, is to help empower you to rehydrate your landscape. And this is nothing new. People have been talking about this for a long time. Sepp Holzer seeing landscapes and warning people this landscape is going to burn if you don't fix the water. And lo and behold, years later, they lost everything. Walter Jena in Australia talking about the relationship between fire and fungi. We can let all of the woody debris dry out and desiccate and form tinder for fire, or we can help it be hydrated, break down with the mycelial webs of fungi, and form a sponge that helps hydrate the land instead. This is nothing new. People have been talking about this for a long time, but unfortunately, the masses still aren't listening. Will you help us spread this message?